Hey, Zane here and welcome back. Got my little mate Chili with me and pouring with rain outside. We're at the back end of a cyclone here in southeast Queensland, but we're getting through it. But I wanted to drop a video today. I actually ran a webinar to a small group last night introducing them to Bitcoin. And it's great. I always enjoy sharing with new people to this space, explaining essentially how you have to first take the red pill first, which is learning about money and a little bit of history about how we got to this situation that we're in terms of inflation, and then how it's important to take that red pill before you take the orange pill, which of course is the pill that we love to take, which is the Bitcoin pill. And so that was great to do, but I had a question last night that comes up quite often, and you may have come across this question before, and that is, am I too late to Bitcoin? Have I missed the boat? And it's amazing to me that people actually think that they are too late. And I've heard Jack Mallers say before that, people who think that they're too late to Bitcoin and who choose that as a reason not to embrace it, it's really a failure of their ego. Because the question is, too late compared to what? Because when you actually look at all of the metrics and you zoom out and you look at where Bitcoin sits on the adoption curve, you understand with what's happening with nation states, the announcement in the last couple of days with the US government, when you understand Bitcoin's compound annual growth rate over the last 7 years, and how there's nothing to suggest that that model is going to be broken moving forward in the sort of medium term. So all of these things, when you start to understand that, the only reason not to get involved in Bitcoin is A, you don't believe in it, or B, you lean on this belief that you're too late because really it's a failure of your ego, because you're saying, well, I'm too late compared to somebody who bought it at $60,000 or $30,000 or whatever it might be. And the reality is that I thought I was too late to Bitcoin. In fact, Bitcoin, the price dropped about 30% the first time after I made my first Bitcoin purchase. 2 weeks later, I think it had fallen about 30%. But what did I do? I actually bought more. And so, it's really important that we stop thinking in terms of being too late and start zooming out and looking at the reality of where Bitcoin is going. And the fact that, this is a train that is leaving the station and it really can't be stopped now, particularly with all of these tailwinds that are behind it. And so, let's first consider the adoption curve. You've probably heard of Metcalfe's law, which essentially states that the value of a network is relative to its rate of adoption. And when you track the adoption curve of the internet and the iPhone, and you look at Bitcoin relative to those two rates of adoption, what you see is that Bitcoin is pretty much mirroring those curves pretty much perfectly. So, essentially what we see with that, if you track the Bitcoin price based on that rate of adoption, you see that from where it is now at 95 to 100,000 US, within 5 years, Bitcoin's price based on this rate of adoption is going to be sitting at around about $1 million. So, 10x where it is now. If we look at the CAGR model, which is the compound annual growth rate model, what we see is over the last 7 years, Bitcoin has done 59% compound annual growth rate. And for every $1,000 you put into Bitcoin today, if that rate of compound growth rate continues, what you find is that in 5 years, by the year 2030, you're going to essentially 10x your money. So whether you're looking at the adoption curve, or you're looking at the CAGR model, or various other models that are out there, it's kind of why people who really study these charts and these rates of adoption and Metcalfe's law, and they apply it to Bitcoin, it's pretty much why everybody is of the general view that the only way is up for Bitcoin from here and the next 5 years. The general expectation is that a minimum of 10x your investment is on the cards. And of course, nobody quite ever knows what the future is going to hold. You can only look at historical performance. You can only look at comparable rates of adoption of new technologies. But that's all you ever can do when it comes to investing. You only ever can look at historical data in order to make sensible investment decisions. And so, we need to place some relevance on these models in order to determine whether or not Bitcoin is a smart place to park your capital, your long-term savings, to store your economic energy and value. And based on all of those metrics, to me, it is absolutely the best place to park your economic value and long-term savings. And the only reason why you would say that I'm too late is because you're just looking for a reason not to do it. Because you're always going to be too late. There's always going to be somebody who got into Bitcoin earlier than you. But I would argue that based on where we are now, we are at the risk return profile of Bitcoin today is the best that it's ever been. When you consider that, all of the confusion and uncertainty, fear and doubt, all of the things that existed around Bitcoin up until, just in the last probably 12 to 18 months, to be honest, until Wall Street essentially were given the green light via the ETF announcement by the SEC when the SEC essentially approved the exchange traded fund Bitcoin ETF, and then the likes of BlackRock were able to then go in and buy it. Michael Saylor and others believe that was really the beginning of the Bitcoin gold rush. So January 2024. And so are we too late? In my mind, we're extremely early. We have to keep remembering that less than 5% of the population owns any Bitcoin. You can get involved in Bitcoin pretty much at any level. I always suggest 3 levels for people to consider to get involved based on where they're at, their current situation, their level of conviction, how much spare capital they have, etc. And generally I suggest that people consider either starting with 1 million sats, 10 million sats or 100 million sats. So 0.01 of a Bitcoin, 0.1 or a whole Bitcoin depending on where they're at. And right now, to do that, you're looking at around about 94 to 95 1,000 USD in order to do a whole Bitcoin, 10% of that or 0.01 of that. So, anywhere between 900, 9,000 and 90 odd thousand USD will get you to each of those 3 levels. And I think that's for people who start small and they get comfortable with the process of sending their funds from their account to an exchange and then storing their Bitcoin, getting it sent to a cold hard wallet solution. For me, that's a process that you want to get comfortable with. Start at a low level, watch that process, get comfortable with it before you invest more. That's how I did it. That's how I always suggest that people do it, and that way you very quickly develop the confidence that the Bitcoin that you acquire is in your safe hands. It's in your custody, in your own cold hardware storage device. So we're not too late. It really is a failure of your ego, as Jack Mallers says, when you lean on that as a reason not to invest in Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is a truly finite, scarce, fixed supply, deflationary monetary technology that's not going anywhere. And whether you invest $1,000, $5,000, $100,000, $1 million, it really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're buying into a monetary protocol that is mathematically engineered and designed to essentially go up forever when priced in inflationary fiat dollars. And so whether you are able to buy a whole Bitcoin, there's a lot of people obviously that will never be able to achieve that because of the price where it is now. But it really doesn't matter. What matters is how you're protecting and preserving your capital and your long-term savings moving forward. And so plugging into the Bitcoin protocol is what enables you to protect, preserve, and grow your wealth, purchasing power, and your capital over time. So you're not too late. Learn about Bitcoin, get comfortable with it, start small, watch the process. That'll give you confidence, and from there you can grow not just your Bitcoin stack, but you can also grow your mindset, your knowledge around Bitcoin, and also your wealth mindset, your understanding of deservedness when it comes to making a choice to adopt Bitcoin. For me, is giving yourself permission to actually become financially free in the years ahead. And that also is a mindset that I believe comes with being involved in the Bitcoin space. And a lot of people don't talk about that enough, but I really think that a big part of being a Bitcoiner and a long-term Bitcoiner, and understanding why when you actually secure Bitcoin, you are securing pristine collateral, the hardest form of money that ever exists. And when you have the mindset around that, you are less likely to make a mistake, and that is to go and sell your Bitcoin, once you double, triple your money or something like that, which I've seen many people do. Bitcoin is multi-generational wealth, and so you want to be thinking of it in terms of that, and remembering that as a base layer asset, what's coming for Bitcoin are all of these different financial products that are going to be built on top of that base layer. And so Bitcoin is granite. It is the opportunity for you to own the absolute asset, and you're going to benefit from all of the technologies and the monetary instruments that are going to be built on top of that base granite Bitcoin. So just keep that in mind. I hope you got some value from today's message. I'm going to leave it there today. I've got to move on, but thank you for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm slowly building this community. I want to thank you for being here. Leave me a comment if you got value today, if there's something you want to share, add, and I'll read that. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye for now.